Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chess Spice. Today we are at the next topic, that is how to practice or prepare before tournament, and this time I am using endgames for improving our calculation. So let us go into the positions quickly. I have got two positions. We will try to use the endgame concepts along with the same calculation techniques which we did in the middle game section. So basically we will try not to miss the opponent's candidate and also our options. Let's get into this position quickly. This is white to play, and let us see what is happening in the position. See, look at the position and you must have guessed that white is struggling a bit. The moves like kc1 allows kd4. Let's say white plays kc1 here. Then after kd4 there is no good move, because after e5, which is perhaps the only try black can do, king takes e5. After k takes e5, what will happen? kd1, kd4, kd2, black allows the opposition and snatches it with the pawn move d5. So the rule says that king should be ahead of the pawn and both sides should aim at the opposition. So here black has both. The king is ahead of the pawn plus he has the opposition, means the position is winning. Thus the move kc1, kd4, e5 is just losing for white. So he has to try the move kd2, but even with kd2, ke4, ke2, again kd4, kd2, black uses d5, snatches the opposition. After the king move, the black king enters the 6th rank and it is winning for him. So white tries to use the concept of distant opposition. Here the move c5 gives the distant opposition, but first he goes with the move e5. The logic here is that after e5 de, the king and the pawn, they will come on the same line, and then it will facilitate white to use the opposition, and the black king will not be able to take the opposition back because his pawn is already on the king's line. But it must be noted that after e5, black has the move d5. Many a times what happens, people miss the move d5 and then king comes and collects the pawn on e5 and game becomes winning. But here it's still drawn, e5 good move. Let us look at d5 first. If d5, then kc2, d4, king goes to d5 soon, but kd3, kd5, e6, simplest one, ke6, kd4, pawns have traded and the game is drawn. Thus after e5, de5 forced, and now the important move kc1. We are using the concept of distant opposition plus doing accurate calculation. Whatever black does, kd5, kd4, kc4, to all the three there is respective oppositions. kc4 allows kc2, kd4 allows kd2, and kd5 allows the distant opposition with king d1. So let's say here kd4, kd2, ke4, ke2, and nothing happens. Once again there will be mere repetition of moves, or after kd4, kd2, e4, nothing, just ke2, and after e3 the only drawing move ke1. And we should not allow the opposition if we cannot take one. That's the simple rule. And now whatever black does, he cannot make any progress. kd3, kd1, e2 will just allow stalemate after ke1, ke3. And any other move like kd4, then white keeps on doing ke2 and ke1. Whenever king comes to d3, we go kd1. That's it, and it's a drawn position. Let's look at the more complicated case now. So this is our second position. It is white to play. White is a pawn down and he is definitely struggling here. We can see that the white king is also not greatly placed. It's just that it's bit ahead than the black king. But the black king is trying to enter into the white position. A line which is most important here and which is what most people start their calculation with is the move kg3. After kg3 we must note that black has ke1. He takes the diagonal opposition, and after kg2, ke2, kg3, king f1, black eventually wins very easily. I'll show you this line. kg3 now, there is ke1, kg2, ke2, kg3, king f1, and black wins because after kg4 almost forced, there is kf2. The g5 pawn will be traded for f3 pawn and the e4 pawn would win. So this becomes one of the most important lines. Based on this idea, white is able to get the solution very quickly in the game actually. But otherwise what we will have to do? We will have to look at all the candidate moves here. White has kf2, kf1, kg1, kh1, kh2, 5 apart from kg3. The moves kg3 and h3 both can be met with the move ke1 when it is winning for black. So the point is that white can here use the elimination method to quickly guess what is going on. Guess or judge, I would say. Why? Because let us find some important points of opposition here. See, I have marked them here. See the green points e2 and g2. So when black king is on e2, white wants kg2. When black king is on d2, white has to have kh2. And finally when the black king is on e1, white should have kg1. So you see that these three squares are connected by common squares. So d2, e2 and e1 are connected by d1, and same way the corresponding square to that d1 is h1. The square h1 connects h2, g2 and g1. So with this technique white is able to find the only move. You must have guessed it now. Let me show you some other lines first. One of the important lines is the move kh2. But see, after kh2, kd2, kh3, unfortunately here see both ke1 and see kd3. kd3 wins very easily. Now see, we got the distant opposition. Wherever white king goes, black approaches sideways. So let's say kg4, there will be just ke2. And see, kg3 then kf1, king enters, kg4, kf2. Once again we got this position. So same way, let me show you one more move, king f1, very interesting one. Here the move g4 looks tempting, but g4 is blunder. We will come to that line. Here black should just do kd2, kf2, again see kd3, absolutely same idea. To kd3 white should have his king on h3, which is not possible, and after any move black takes the opposition. kg3 then e3, g2 then e2, kg3 then king f1, the king penetrates and black wins. So this way you can easily make out that white has to play the only move king h1, which white found in his analysis, and see what is the point. Wherever the black king now goes, white gets the opposition or the distant opposition. So we have three lines here, k, e2, d2 and e1. These are the king moves, and the fourth move which many people miss is the move g4. Without g4 the analysis would be incomplete. The point is that if g4 is met by f takes g4, then there is c, e4, g5, e3, g6, e2, g7, e1 queens with a check and black queens. But g4 happens to be one of the main moves. We will come to this line at the end because black can transpose to this line in many other ways. Let's see the moves for black. Main is kd2. We will look at that. If ke2, then see just kg2, and ke3, kg3, we will have the same position. After kh1, black tries kd2, the kh2 forced the distant opposition, kd3, and to kd3, as I said before, only move is kh3. Now whatever is done, white gets the opposition. So ke3, kg3, ke2, then kg2, and if see e4, then just trade and go kg4, win the pawn on g5, it's drawn. So ke2, kg2, and black can once again try the move ke1 or d1, both. ke1 then kg1 forced, and kd1 then again see kh1 forced, and here once again black can play the move g4. I hope you must have understood. White had seen the cunning move kg2, only drawing move, because pawn takes pawn, king takes, and king reaches e4. And after the move kd2, which is perhaps the best option for black, white goes now fg4. This time e1 queen is not coming with a check. So what will happen is that after e4, g5, e3, g6, e2, g7, e1 queen, g8 queen, black has queened first, but there are no threats now. Checks don't cause any damage. Let's say white king would be on h3, then qh1 check would have won for black. But this position is now easily drawn. Neither the king nor the queen is in danger, so it's a drawn game for white. So these are the kind of endgame positions which one can use before the tournament. If we are able to solve them, it will give us some confidence, and definitely it will change our direction of thought. I hope you are finding these lessons useful and instructive. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.